a big shout out and thank you to Kim for giving me this space and platform and this awesome group of women for me to say anything to you all at all. So I appreciate her just handing over the controls for the night. She's amazing. So thank you, Kim. My name is Devi Maisha. I am a sensual energy alchemist and pleasure coach. I know my mission is to show people how to transform their energy to ecstasy and create lives that they want to make love to. I believe better sex and healthier relationships make for happier lives, and I am on a mission to heal the world one orgasm at a time. So I am going to talk about sex magic. I don't plan out what I discuss because I prefer for things to come organically through spirit. So I kind of roll with whatever message it is that needs to come out, and that's generally how I operate. I will admit right now I'm a little tight, I'm a little hot over this whole Aisha Curry business. Like it's messing with my brain right now, how upset that people are that a woman has desires. It's like it's a foreign concept that a woman should desire anything. Like it's only okay for men, I guess, to do that. And if a woman announces that she desires men to admire her beauty, all of a sudden she gets called all kinds of trash names. And I suppose this ties into sex magic, right? Because sex magic is really about acknowledging our power as the feminine, really getting into the power that exists within our form as women, and part of that is desire. That's the basis of our makeup. Just basically, we have desires. There are things that we want. The masculine will come along and will assist in those desires in order to bring us joy. The other way is also that the masculine has a vision and we can help execute and bring that vision to life, much like we give birth, right? So either two work, but neither one of them works without us. Neither one of them works without us. And so this idea that a woman who just had, children, and I've had babies back to back, who happens to be married to a famous sports star, Stephen Curry, and that she knows that women are fawning over him. She's not saying she's worried about him doing anything. She's just saying, hey, they're all looking at him. He's got like all this groupie, folk over here. I kind of wish I had some groupie folk too. I kind of would like to have a little bit of that attention too. And I'm perplexed as to what the problem with that is. I really am. I don't understand. And if you listen to Beyonce's song Freakum Dress, she's got a whole song talking about how she's going to get dressed up, go out, get some dude's attention, dance all up on him. And when he's like, so hey, she's going to be like, no, my man's taking this dress off me tonight. Right? So there are whole songs out there about this. So I'm still trying to calm down from that because I just think it's foolishness. I think it's a lot of judgment on the desire of women. I think it's a lot of judgment on women's sexuality and our sensuality. And that's part of our power. That's part of our power as women. And we have been stripped away from that due to fear. There are people who have been afraid of the power, of the sensual power of a woman. And this is a perfect example on how some members of society will do what they can to squash that power. Oh, you're a hoe. Oh, you're a slut. Oh, you're too fast. You should be sexual, but sexual in a box. Like not too sexual, but not so unsexual that, the man that you choose to be with, doesn't desire you. So not too much over here and just not too much over there. Oh, right here in this small, tiny spot. That's perfect for you. And you will be acceptable and respected because your value is clearly in your yoni. Your values in your yoni, right? It's not anything else. As long as this is proper, then we can look at you like you're a good woman. I'm not for it. And it strips us of our magic. So sex magic is the practice of it is what is known as sympathetic magic. Sex magic is the practice of using orgasmic energy as a way to alchemize, to change something. The act of creation, the sperm going into the egg, which mimics the Big Bang of the universe, right? You have one substance combines with another substance that creates a whole new life, right? It is the only way to create this human, this coming together of one polarity with another, right? And creates this whole new life. And so sex magic is this sympathetic magic that says, well, if the actual physical act of sex can create a whole human, then if I take that same energy and apply it to my desires and apply it to the creation of my life, the same thing will happen. I will create something new. And sex magic doesn't have to be done with a partner. It can also be done solo. So I don't want anyone here to think if you don't have a partner that you cannot work sex magic in your own life. So I use sex magic often. I use sex magic along with the phases of the moon. When the moon is new, I'll use sex magic. And when I say sex magic, if I'm not partnered with someone, if I don't have one of my lovers, I'm poly. If I don't have one of my lovers, then I will self-pleasure, masturbation. But I don't like the word masturbation too much because it means to defile with one's hands, and I defile nothing when I touch my body. So when I'm engaged in self-pleasure during the new moon, I'm using that as a time to plant the seeds for something new. The new moon is symbolic of, the dark moon is right before the new moon, and it's symbolic of kind of getting rid of. The new moon is symbolic of planting seeds in the dirt, in the earth, in the womb, right? Things grow in the dark. This is part of our feminine mystery. Things grow in the dark. And so during the new moon is the time when I will plant seeds of intention. What do I want to happen? What do I want to see take place in my life? And as the moon goes from new and waxes to full, as the pregnancy and during the full moon is when it's at its height. That is when I will generally do either something celebratory, just to give that desire extra energy, or the full moon is a time when I will focus on what may be in my way. What obstacles are in my way, preventing me from achieving what I want? And from the full moon to the new moon, when the moon is waning, I will use my self-pleasure as a way to change my mindset, get rid of the obstacles, get rid of what's in my way. So for instance, for most women, there are generally two things that women are looking for most of the time. It's a relationship or it's more money. It's not that, good health isn't on the list, or a child or a new house or a car, but the majority of the time it's one of the two. So let's say, for instance, you're looking for a new relationship, you're single and you're desiring to be with someone. During the new moon, you put that intention out there, which is, I'll get to how that's kind of done in a minute, but you put that intention out there, and you find that you don't feel like you're in alignment with it, right? It's like you want a man, but your actions aren't quite lining up with it. So that would be a time when I would want to find out from you, well, what's blocking you? What's preventing you from being open to this possibility? So you say, I want a man, but you don't really trust men. You say, I want a man, but I've been independent and on my own for so long, I don't know that I could be in relationship with one. And so even though you're saying you want one thing, you're putting out energetically something totally different. And the universe doesn't speak English. It doesn't speak language. It speaks vibration. It speaks energy. And so during the time from the full moon to the waning moon is when I would want you to focus on clearing those beliefs using sex magic, clearing those beliefs. So how does this kind of work? It's like, okay, yeah, I self-pleasured, I had an orgasm, and all of a sudden magically something changes? In a way, yes. So the science behind orgasm is, and I don't remember all the big words, and not that any of you want to hear all the big words anyway. So the science behind orgasm is basically during the time of orgasm, or even before the climax, because it's not really orgasm. The climax is the point where you have that whoosh, orgasm is all the feelings that happen before that. And you can actually be in an orgasmic state all day long. You don't need climax to have orgasm. They're not exactly the same thing. So during self-pleasure or during sex, during any of that time when you're aroused and you're ready and you're headed toward climax, what actually happens in your brain is that there's a part of your brain that literally, it's like it shuts down, your ego part, the part of your brain that says, we need to think about what we're doing. We need to think about what's going on. It's in your frontal lobe. It's a gray matter. It's a very long name. It's reticular something or another. During that time, that part of your brain is quiet. The pleasure overrides. And so your ego, the part of you that says, I can't trust men because of all these things that have happened to me, that there's no space for that in there because the pleasure has taken over your brain. It's the perfect time to rewire your brain. Everything that has happened to you, every experience that you've had is actually stored in your brain as part of the electrical system that happens. And you can rewire your brain to change that system, to change the way you react to things. During the orgasmic experience and during climax, when you're repeating your intention at that time or your clearing statement at that time, there's no space in your brain to tell you that this is not possible. So when you do this over time, you actually begin to change the way you think. It literally begins to change your thought process in your system. So if you're saying, I want a man, and you're finding that you're not able to trust men, but you're now creating clearing statements and affirmations, and you're saying them during this point of climax, you will find over time, you will actually change your vibration. You will change the vibrational signal that you're putting out into the world. And so then your manifestation can come through you and come to life. Right? Does that make sense? So if you have something blocking you, it's kind of like having a block in your uterus, right? And you have to clear the blockage in order for safe passage to happen. The same thing happens in our brains. So that's generally that's the bare basics of what sex magic is. I have used it in my life. It's one of the things that drew my ex-husband and I together. We're not clearly he's my ex-husband, so we're not together. But it's one of the things that drew us together. Unfortunately, we didn't really understand how to really use the power of it. Not properly. We didn't understand how affirmations worked. People think you say affirmations and they're supposed to just kind of happen. But affirmations don't happen if you don't believe in them. They don't, because you're saying one thing out of your mouth, but again, your energy is saying another. And that's not something that we understood. When I left and I began really studying energy work on a deeper level, and I began studying the idea that the universe really just does not speak our language, that it speaks the language of my vibration, then it was time to really make some changes. And I have been on SNAP benefits. I've been on full-on welfare, cash assistance, all the medical assistance. I've been homeless. Like, I have lived a life of poverty. When I started using sex magic in a more deliberate way, getting clear, being clear on my affirmations, getting in clearer vibration with my soul's existence, without having to work hard, hustle much, my life began to change. My income one year was $5,000. Literally, I was working as a personal trainer. The next year, I got a temp job, so it went up. And then after that, I got this other position, and then it went up. And within a span of 18 months, I received 3 raises. How does that happen? I don't know, but I'll take it. When I started my business again, because I took a hiatus and I started using sex magic as the intention to help me build it, I have managed to fill the courses that I have offered beyond the expectation that I had. I live in New York City, so you're going to hear sounds outside. Beyond the expectation that I had, I increased the income from my business at 4 or 5-fold. So sex magic does work. It works extremely well. And it is a power basis for women. And I think a lot of women shy away from it because we have so long been taught that somehow if we're sensual, if we're sexual, if we're in our bodies, then that's a wrong thing, because we need to be really pure and religious or spiritual on one hand, right? And we need to be really smart, right? Because we don't want to just be valued for our body. And so we need to be really smart and religious. And that completely leaves us devoid of our feminine, and also causes us to act in our masculine way, way more than we want to. Way, way more than we want to. There's something delicious about living in the feminine, about being in that power, and it does involve sex. Many women have lost the understanding of what that power is and what it means, and so they use it in the basest level. I remember when the Twerk City Girls video came out with Cardi B, and there were some women that were just like, oh yeah, women in their sexual freedom and power, and they're working their sacral chakra, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, but is that really what they're doing? like when 9 and 10-year-old girls are going through puberty, are they looking at that going, man, that's empowering? Check out the energy centers, Look at how they're circulating that energy up their body and using it to change the world. I don't really think that's what it was. And so a lot of women have taken that energy that we have, this power, and just like anything, there are 2 sides to everything. There's always duality. It's not a good or a bad, it's duality. There's light and there's dark. Just the way a woman can be influential. The movie 300 is one of my favorite movies because King Leonidas, his queen, in the beginning of the movie, when this guy comes to him and they're talking about war, and it's that famous scene, right, where he's standing there in front of this well, and he's trying to figure out what to do. He looks back at his woman. He looks at her like, what do you think? And I think she either nods her head, or no, she shakes her head like, you already know. And then that's when he comes out with the line, this is Sparta, and like kicks the dude down the well. That's a woman in her power. That's a woman using her influence. I mean, if you watch the movie, but that's a woman using her influence in a powerful way. The not so powerful way of using it, and what people are afraid of, other women and a lot of men, is the manipulation. That's the other side of that power, is manipulation. It's, I will influence you, but not for the betterment, not for the upliftment, but for my own personal gain and selfish reasons. And that's what people fear, because they look at historical figures like a Cleopatra or Helen of Troy. Hey, people even thought Hillary Clinton, was in that same camp, where I'm using my influence to take without uplifting the masculine or changing the landscape of the world that I live in. And because there has been that fear throughout the centuries, regardless of the continent that we have been on, because at one time on the continent of Africa it was all good, but now due to colonization, there are far too many tribes and people there who are now shunning the sexual power of women as well. There's a fear that the power of a woman is going to disrupt, dethrone the masculine, that this power will be used for her own personal gain, that this power will be used in a manipulative fashion. And that is a possibility for some. So when I look at the Twerk City Cardi B video, that's not that I see empowerment. I see women who clearly understand that they have sexual power, but what are you doing with it? There's a saying that's always quoted by the Dalai Lama that says the world will be set free by women who are set free. And part of that being set free is us understanding the sensual power that we have, the sex magic, what we can create. Yes, we can put men under spells for sure. Absolutely. Get them to do things that we want them to do for sure. We can. You can. If you think you can't, I'm telling you, you can. But to what end? Or you can take that same thing and help uplift, change, create, make better. The reason why women are all kept separate and have us catty and fighting amongst one another and have us in competition with each other as though there's not enough. There's not enough men. There's not enough money. There's not enough spotlight. There's not enough shine. It keeps us pitted against each other is because when we come together, the magic that we create from our feminine power is amazing. This whole earth is feminine. It's amazing what we can do. And yes, all of this is sex magic. Sex magic is the act of creation, is the act of taking something here and turning it into something else over here. Why is this important for women, especially for our energy centers? So those of you who are in this group, I'm sure you know that there are womb issues on the rise for women, just on the rise. Fibroids, the uterine cancer, cervical cancer. The PCOS means I don't even know what's wrong with you. I don't have a word for it. I'm just going to call it a thing, but I don't have any actual answers for you. Endometriosis. Now there are commercials about it to medicate women and, because now we're dealing with these issues. Part of this is an energetic issue. Part of this is us not living in our feminine essence enough. Part of this is us living in a world that respects and reveres masculine way of being, but that does not sit right in the body of a feminine. And it is causing issues in our bodies. It is causing blockages in our bodies. Emotions that we're holding on to, guilt that we're not getting rid of, anger that is going up unexpressed, grief that sits in our bodies. And so how it translates is that not only does our sacral chakra, which is your sex chakra, right? That's our creative center. There are actually nerve endings that lead from our womb to our brain, that bypass our spine, that help to guide us. But if our womb is shut down, we can't really hear those messages that are traveling through our body. And if our womb tends to be shut down, we also tend to have heart chakra issues. A lot of breast cancer may come from grief unexpressed, heartache, pain. And our womb space, where we perform our sex magic, where our power base is connected to our throat chakra. Thyroid issues are a huge problem now. So I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is basically hyperthyroidism. A lot of people seem to have hypothyroidism, where your thyroid is sluggish and slow. It's Hashimoto's. You gain weight. Um, so I had the opposite. It might sound cool because I lost weight. It's like, hey, I wish I had that. You don't, because it can cause heart palpitations and heart issues. And so I was diagnosed with this. They said I had the antibodies. So, they say I have this autoimmune issue. I don't buy into that. I knew it was energetic because I had just left my ex-husband in August of 2011. And all of a sudden I develop hyperthyroidism a couple of months later. My throat chakra was just all kinds of messed up. For those of you who may not know what chakras are, because I don't want to assume that because you're in this group, chakras are energy centers in your body. In Hindu Tantra and Hindu energy work, there are 7. I mean, there are way more, but there are 7 main ones. In Tibetan Buddhist Tantra, there are 5. But I'm going to focus on the 7 because that's what most people are accustomed to. So there are 7 major chakras. There's your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, the sacral, which is in your womb area, and your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. Each one of them carries an energetic signature. And I like to think of chakras as like beltways. If you ever lived in like DC or Boston or anywhere where there's like a huge circle where there's traffic, that's what a chakra is. It's like a think of it like a wheel. It may not have any shape. It could be a square for all we know. This is the visualization that human beings come up with to help us understand. So think of a chakra as a wheel, and you have energy centers that go through, energy lines that go through your body, all over your body, and they meet at this space. So there are energy lines that go through and meet at this point right here, this nexus in your throat. And so I was diagnosed with this hyperthyroidism, and I immediately knew from my Reiki training and other holistic trainings, I immediately knew that I had a throat chakra issue. And so I set about working on clearing my throat. I had not spoken enough. I had not expressed myself enough, and I had a lot of grief that was not wanting to come out. I did a raw food, and I'm not diagnosing or suggesting into this, but I did raw food for about 28 days, and that was all she wrote for the hyperthyroidism. But I did a lot of energy work at the same time. So your throat chakra is directly connected to your sacral chakra, to your womb space, to your sex chakra. What is created in the womb is expressed through the throat. So whatever it is that you're creating here with your sex magic is also expressed through your throat. And so it's one of the reasons why affirmations and clearing statements are so important. Because if you're looking to create from your womb space, you have to also make space to clear and allow to come out of your mouth, to be able to say it out loud, to be able to clear it out loud, to be able to make sound. And so many women don't make sound. We talk, but we don't speak. And even during sex, so many women are quiet during sex. They're not expressing their pleasure. They're not expressing their moans. And they're also not feeling any orgasms. Over 70% of women aren't having any vaginal orgasms. Only 1% of women feel orgasms in their nipples. And so women are not expressing their power. So sex magic can be used to create anything that you desire. Again, whether partnered or solo, it makes no difference. The basics of it is you want to have your intention set. Are you looking to clear a thought from you that no longer serves you? Are you looking to bring something to you that you want? I work with phases of the moon. You don't have to. You can work with candles. You can work with your ancestors. Always recommend working with the ancestors as guides. You state your intention. Don't think about it. Feel it. Feel what it is that you want in your body. You don't want to concentrate on it. Someone asked me once, do I have to memorize, my affirmation? Do I have to memorize my clearing statement? No, I don't need you to memorize it. Because at the point of climax, what comes out of your mouth is going to be led by spirit. So I don't need you to memorize the statement, but I do need you to feel it in your body. As women, we are embodied. We feel. That's why when we dance, it's something spectacular. I'm not talking about dancing on beat. I'm talking about just dancing, moving your body. It's something spectacular because we feel in our body. It's another one of our gifts. So you want to say your statement at the point of climax. But you have to create a statement that you can actually believe. You have to believe it. So people who want money, don't run around saying, you know, I have $1 million. Because your brain is like, no, you don't. Start with something smaller that your ego will allow to come through. You know, I have an extra X amount of money. You know, something like that. But when you go for like the big stuff and your ego's kind of like, I don't think so. Even during sex magic, it's still going to be like, and you'll know because you'll feel it in your body when you're saying it. Like in your body, it won't feel like, yes, this is it right here. So during the point of climax, when that good feeling comes over you, that's when you want to say your statement. You also want to breathe. I know it seems like you're doing a lot at the same time, but you also want to breathe. An orgasm and climax is a point of expansion, not contraction. It's expansion. Many of us as women, we get to that point and our toes curl up and our whole entire body clenches up and we're tight like this during the whole experience. No, it's a point of expansion. You want to breathe into it and allow the waves to circulate throughout your whole entire body. Feel the orgasm in your pinky toe. Feel it in your index finger. Feel it in your ears. Breathe through when that moment comes up and you feel your butt cheeks clench up, because y'all know, right? When it's coming, your butt, your hips all start to get tight because it's revved up. Breathe through that and relax it. Breathe through that and relax it. Allow the waves to just wash over you. And at that time, state what it is that you want. Do it often. Pick one thing. Don't jump around. Pick one thing. You're sending out this vibration. You're sending out this vibration. The universe understands vibration. You send out this vibration because it will come back to you. And not necessarily immediately. It's like if somebody was trying to contact an alien. It's like light years, you know? I mean, they may not bounce back to us till 2050. So understand that it's not something that may happen in 2 days or 7. But you've put it out there. It is coming back. It is going to come back to you. So that's the basics of sex magic. That's how it works. That's what I do. That's how I currently create my life. That's how I filled my current program. I had a desire for 50 women. I have over 30. So I have double the amount of women that I originally asked for. And I use sex magic for that. I have been able to pay for flights and trips, and I just got back from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm about to speak in Smyrna, Georgia. Someone came to me and asked me to speak. Opportunities are coming my way. There's no hustle. There's no hard work. I simply look, I do work, right? I'm not sitting on my bed and doing nothing and just self-pleasuring all day. Okay, that's akin to just praying and not having any action. Right? But I put myself in this state constantly where I'm feeling orgasmic as much as I possibly can. There are days when I feel like crap, okay? Because I'm a human being. But where I'm feeling orgasmic as much as I possibly can, and I allow that feeling to guide me and guide my direction. I listen to my yoni on a daily basis. She tells me what to do. And I follow. And so far, she has not steered me wrong. So I encourage you to listen to your yoni as well. So if you have any further questions about sex magic, obviously you can pop them here. I will come back and look at this and I will answer. You can always email me. I know Kim put all of my information up. Reach out to me. I'm completely accessible. Again, I want to thank Kim so much for giving me this opportunity to just introduce myself to you all and to talk to you. I love the womb healing journey. I love that we can exchange because we're in the same arena, Kim and I, but we're not in the same field. You know, she's working on making sure that you guys are juicy down there, and I want to help you use that juice to change your life. So it goes hand in hand. If it's not juicy here, you can't really do much of anything else. So I'm very grateful to the work that she's doing with women and the knowledge that she is spreading to you all. It's necessary, very, very necessary. All right, so that's it for this evening. If nobody else has any questions, again, I'm so grateful to be here. Ask your questions here in the chat, and I will definitely see you guys here in the group. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You have a good night.